I was able to stack up 83,040 points for deal melee damage to arc enemies during the hidden bunker event on Spaceport. Now, in order to be effective with doing this specific strategy, you're going to need to farm Snitch Scanners. And the best place to farm Snitch Scanners is Blue Gate. I recommend positioning yourself at the Overlook Airshaft, and you can see multiple snitch spawn locations from there and take out the snitches and stack up scanners relatively quick. The reason the snitch scanners are so important for this is because a single wasp elimination from your pickaxe will give you 825 points, which means a single scanner is worth 1650 points, and a stack of scanners will take you all the way up to 4950 points, essentially meaning that for every slot in your bag that is filled with snitch scanners, you will make 5,000 points as long as you're able to melee all the wasps as they're called in. This then means each row of snitch scanners in your bag is potentially worth 20k points, which is a phenomenal amount of points for this specific challenge. Now, in order to be effective in doing this strategy, you're going to need to spec into the conditioning side of the skill tree. Specifically, you want effortless swing, sky clearing swing, and fly swatter. The fly swatter allows wasps to be eliminated with a single melee attack. Now, for my equipment, I brought in 4 rows of snitch scanners. I brought in an anvil with 2 stacks of ammo, a Berletta with no stacks of ammo because you can get ammo off of the wasps, 2 sets of healing items and shielding items, a single stack of adrenaline shots, but a stack of plastic and chemical parts so that I can make more once I was on top side. I also brought in 2 light shields. Now, while I did this on the hidden bunker event, I'd actually going to recommend that you do this during a locked gate if possible. And I'll explain why locked gate is a little bit better for this in just a minute. Now, once you start to queue for a match, you're going to want to pay attention to the join timer on the bottom of your screen in the main menu. You absolutely want to make sure that you have a full match for this. And the only way to ensure that you're getting a full match is to pay attention to the timer for when you're joining a game. As long as you see departing appear before 45 seconds, it is always a full game and you will get the full amount of time for that match. If you allow the queue timer to go up further than the 45 seconds, any match that you join after that 45-second mark is a lot more likely to become a join in progress game. So what I recommend you do, and what I do all the time, is I cancel the search timer right at that 44-45 seconds and then just re-queue to restart my timer. This will ensure that you get a full game, and it's specifically because of how Embark changed their matchmaking a while back. Now, once you spawn in, the strategy here is ultra simple. What you want to try and do is get yourself to the outer part of the map where there is limited foot traffic from other raiders. Make sure you pick a place where you can duck into cover if necessary from the wasp. Once you've found the spot, all you need to do is throw 1 snitch scanner down and then position yourself directly under where the wasps are spawned in, which you can tell from where the smoke clouds are coming in from the sky. Using the alternate swing, which is the overhead swing for the pickaxe, swing at where the wasps are going to spawn in, and as long as you time it and position yourself correctly, you will one hit them right as they spawn in, not giving them any chance to fly away. It takes a little bit of practice to kind of understand where to swing and when to swing, but eventually you should be able to get it down and consistently get both of the wasps taken out. Now, if one of the wasps does get away, you have a couple of options. 1, accept that you're just going to lose those points instead of losing the time on the timer and just use your primary weapon to take it out. Or 2, if you bring in something like a snap hook, you can essentially snap hook the wasp and it will basically just like scorpion pull that wasp to you, and you can try and melee with your pickaxe at that point in time. Ultimately, you're going to lose a handful of wasps as you go through this process, but as long as you get majority of them, you're going to stack up points extremely fast. Now, I mentioned earlier that locked gate is a little bit better for this strategy, and let me explain to you why. I went in with the intent to take out all the wasps and then move on to a larger arc enemy like a vaporizer or a rocketeer. Using a hornet driver or taking out one of their thrusters, you can flip those upside down and then they're just laying there on the ground, free for you to use your pickaxe against and stack up points. Both a rocketeer and a vaporizer, depending on how much damage you do before it flips, will give you roughly about 7,000 points. I kind of tunneled on thinking this was going to be the play because of the rocketeers that you can find on Hidden Bunker on Spaceport. But what I missed doing and what I'd recommend that you do is just simply continue to farm more snitches once you get out of the snitch scanners that you have in your bag. I would recommend going to the Overlook Airshaft on Lock Gate and then just rotating around the map, pulling the snitches to you, and just eliminating them and picking up the scanners like you're farming the scanners for another attempt. Since you can get through the scanners really, really fast, it just makes it a whole lot easier and a lot more reliable to farm up more snitch scanners and just keep doing the same strategy for the back end of the game. I was able to get through most of my scanners in about half the match time, and if I would have just focused on snitch scanners, I'm reasonably confident that this could have gone over 100,000 points. It is staggering how fast the loss will stack up for this. Now, as you are throwing scanners, the benefit here is that you're throwing them one at a time, so you won't run into what is like essentially a speed limit or a quantity limit for how many snitch scanners can be used across a period of time. Now, there's a lot of theories and definitions out there for how this works, but essentially all you need to know and understand is that if you throw a snitch scanner and it fails to call in wasp, which means that it doesn't shoot up that orange laser and it just lands there on the ground, it doesn't do anything, you're running into that quote unquote time limit or that quantity limit. And essentially, you just need to wait for a period of time before your scanners will start working again. So, what I recommend that you do to manage this is throw all of the scanners that you can in the beginning of the batch until you run into that speed limit. You can try and throw a few more scanners after waiting a couple of seconds and see if you can get back into the rhythm, but don't spend a ton of time throwing scanners if they're not calling in wasps. Just simply rotate to the middle of the map or to the area that you're going to farm from and start grabbing more scanners and just allow the cooldown to play out in the background. Once you get into a drought of being able to aggro more snitches to you and being able to grab more snitch scanners from the map, just start throwing the ones that you have in your bag and get through all of those spawns as well. Outside of that, there isn't a ton more to this challenge. It is arguably the easiest way to get this challenge done, and for me, it was a breath of fresh air not to try and struggle with snap hooking onto the queen or matriarch to deal a bunch of damage to the core. Once you've stacked up enough points and you're happy with your score, head back to Speranza, collect any loot if you haven't already, and watch your score fly up the leaderboard. That's going to be it for me today, y'all. Thanks for watching.